It's Thursday, and that means it's time to get a take on the news from the left, right, and middle. Once again, from the left is award-winning journalist Karen Hunter, and from the right, Washington attorney Horace Cooper. Hello.
Hello, Debbie.
How you guys doing? Well, okay, so let's just get it out of the way. Karen will be begrudged to do this, but congratulations, Horace, on the midterm elections.
Well, wait. Why are you congratulating him?
Because the Republicans took the Congress.
And I called 8. I was wrong. It's 9, but, you know, we were in the margin. We were in the margin.
Very gracious and modest of you. All right, so let's talk about these elections. The truth is, the president officially is a lame duck president. We have a Republican-controlled Congress. He's in his last 2 years. And if anything is going to get done, they're going to have to work together. So the question is, who is more likely to reach across the aisle and cooperate and compromise to get something done? I guess I'll let you start, Horace.
Why?
Well, he could say ladies first if he chose to.
Ladies first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. What a gentleman you are. Well, Debbie, we know from history that the person or the entity that is most likely to reach across the aisle will be the president. We know from the inception of his presidency in 2008 that, the Republicans claimed that they wanted him to be a one-term president. That did not work. Now that they have control of the House and Senate, I don't think anything different is going to happen because they're quite frankly insane. So, the president did the first thing yesterday. He gave a speech where he said that he's going to want to work with these people. He's already reached out to them. I think he met with them today. But he also warned that there's such a thing as an executive order that he is not going to be afraid to use. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of years. I think it's going to be exciting.
All right, Horace.
Okay, so the president announced within hours of his inauguration in 2008 when he brought a bipartisan gathering of the leaders on the Hill together, and they said, we have some ideas, and he said, talk to the hand, I won the election. This is now...
I don't remember that.
It's all over the press. It's in the New York Times. It's everywhere, but that's okay. I know it's revisionist history. He also said, you can either be with Rush Limbaugh or you can be with what the American people said when I got elected. Now, he has said these kinds of things. He golfed once with John Boehner, the House Speaker, almost 4 years ago, and wonders why there isn't this relationship. Here's the problem.
But what do you have to say, Horace? Let me jump in. I want you to respond to this. Hey, Horace, what do you have to say, though, about both leaders of Congress, the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, saying that the president is going to get burned again, and Mitch McConnell saying that he will poison the well if he moves on immigration, which, oh, by the way, a bipartisan law was passed in his Senate just last summer.
It takes two, not just last summer, 2 summers ago. It takes 2 to tango in any conflict. And the rhetoric that Karen just shared, calling people crazy, is a two-sided phenomenon. Both the White House and his team, they do not like the Republicans. And the feeling is mutual. We are not going to see any compromise. We're not going to see any bipartisan effort. What we're going to see is who can ram the other the hardest.
My definition of crazy is doing the exact same thing and expecting a different result, right? So that's insanity.
So in that definition, Mr. Obama and the Republicans,
when the Republicans from the
under
inception
that
of this,
definition, Mr. Obama and the Republicans are crazy because they're going to do the same thing.
He's tried everything, and there's been nothing but obstructionists on the other side, and threats of impeachment and threats of shutting down the government at every turn. So this is what we're dealing with.
Nobody is getting, Karen, nobody's getting impeached the last 2 years of their term.
Okay.
And after getting elected.
So that was just floated out as what?
Okay, so let me just toss this out here before we move to our last topic, and that is, of course, as we always know, the voter turnout was very low, as it always is in a midterm, and there was this big push to get out the minority vote, specifically the African-American vote, and apparently not enough of the electorate voted because the Democrats lost control of the Senate. Do you think the election results would have been different had there been a voter turnout commensurate with a presidential year election? Karen.
Yes, absolutely. But the voter turnout would have happened had the Democrats not treated President Obama as if he had the plague. Had they embraced the policies that he laid out that were actually working, like Obamacare, instead of parading the Clintons out, they might have actually won. But they deserve this loss because instead of trumpeting out all of the great things that have happened under this president, they distance themselves to their own peril. So they deserve what they got.
Horace?
Okay. I think black turnout probably could have been more enthusiastic if there hadn't have been so many Senate Democrats running away from the president. But Latino turnout was always going to be low, precisely because the promise was like Lucy and Linus, Lucy and
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown, yes.
Get your
saying,
together.
we're going to give you this immigration, we're going to give you this immigration, and it turns out we're not going to give you this immigration. And I predict they're still not going to give you this immigration. That would have mean Colorado would have been lost no matter what. Now, in these red states, those states were gone. So you probably would have lost only 6, not 9. And so to that degree, Karen is right. But look at what happened in the rest of the country. The state legislatures. You could make a movie and it would be called No Country for Oldies. There is just no way that the old progressive mindset is going to be able to recapture.
Yeah, but they passed legalization of marijuana. They raised the minimum wage in a lot of these states. So while they may have voted Republicans into office, they voted very liberal Democratic views when they got to the ballot.
Yeah,
so,
I think can't we all agree? But can't we all agree that this vote was really about a vote against Obama and not necessarily a vote for a Republican
and against
agenda?
Hillary Clinton.
I think that's
It wasn't
universally
a vote for Republicans. Everybody knows it wasn't a vote for Republicans, but it was a vote that didn't have to happen.
So you shouldn't gloat so much, Horace, because you're still in trouble.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to our last topic.
I'm gloating because I told you guys if you didn't do better, you were going to get whipped, and you got whipped.
Oh, my gosh, the spirit of Gussie Turner just manifested. You sound like my mama now. All right, let's move on to the last topic. This has been very interesting. It's something that bubbled up in the news about a week ago. It happened a little while ago. One of the players of the Seattle Seahawks criticized the African-American quarterback there and said that he was, quote, unquote, not black enough. And this, of course, has ignited a debate of what that even means and whether or not there is some obligation, particularly for high-profile African-Americans, to so-called represent. Horace, I'm going to start with you. Is this a valid accusation in your mind of being black enough? What does that even mean to you? And do black folk have an obligation, high-profile black folk, have an obligation to represent the African-American community in a certain way?
It's no and yes. There's no such thing as this, what does it mean to be black, or what does this thing mean to be African-American, and it puts binders on people in their attempts to be achievers. We're all individuals. But, as my grandmother would say, you're always going to want to be the best, most talented, hardest working person that you can be. And that's what you owe your community. And that's what you owe our entire diaspora.
And who could disagree with that? But if you don't know what it means to be black enough, you probably aren't black enough.
What do you mean by that, Karen?
I think that's a shameful statement to make.
Yeah, I know.
No, what do you mean by that? Parse that out. Unpack it.
I can't argue with the quarterback getting slammed, and I think it's horrible, and I think, you know, these labels that we place on people are horrible. However, there is in the community this kind of understanding of what it means to be black, and it's not something that we created, but it's something that we have had to embrace as a culture. I would like us to just be Americans. I would like us to lose all the labels, but unfortunately that's just not going to happen. And being black in America does have a certain thing that goes with it, and it's something that you just either you know or you don't. You know what I'm talking about.
But Karen,
if you don't know what I'm talking about,
I want you to codify that a little bit. What does that mean to be black enough? Give me an example of something that someone does or doesn't do.
All right. So we have say a black person running for president, and he says something to the effect that, you know, this is the worst thing since slavery. You know, and he's voting or he's pushing against things that would help the black community, or he's sitting on the Supreme Court and he votes against affirmative action being continued, even though he benefited from it. So you know, so there's black,
and that's the problem.
What?
And that's why Karen doesn't want to codify it.
What?
What she means is you have to be in favor of left-wing
no, but you
progressive
can't undermine
views.
the very tenets that got
There's
you
no
in
such
that
thing as
position in the first place, and then
undermine.
get there and say, oh, well, we need to get rid of this because we live in America when you
Work
benefited
hard.
from it.
Sacrifice. Be the most talented and most capable that you can be.
The individual I'm talking about is not the most capable or talented and does not deserve to be sitting on the Supreme Court. He's only there because of affirmative action, yet he wants to be the first one to vote it down. That, to me, is not being black enough.
Talk to Jackie Robinson then.
No, Jackie Robinson was talented.
Exactly.
Unlike the person that I'm talking about.
What he didn't do was claim that the system that was unfair at the time actually was. He didn't parade against it.
I'm
he didn't
not calling
attack
for anybody to
he
do
didn't
that.
call it out.
All I'm
Absolutely
saying is,
you are.
all I'm saying is that if you're in a position to help and you undermine,
it's not a good idea.
I'd rather you be
and to say,
all right, you guys, I wish I had a whistle. I'd blow the whistle and say that the match is over. But that was a great debate. Horace Cooper, Karen Hunter, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie.
We'll see you again soon. And you're watching Arise America.